Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, has called to invoke the 25th Amendment against President Donald Trump following the events of this Wednesday at the Capitol.
Information of some. When you have the 25th Amendment invoked, that would be calling upon the Vice President, as we hope to do, to take the lead and with a majority of the cabinet to be able to unseat the President of the United States, a very dangerous person who should not continue in office. This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude. We have a problem here with the enabling that is going on with the Republicans in the Congress as well, and undermining the election, again, enabling the president. And if they don't recognize what yesterday was, a threshold was crossed of such magnitude that there is no way that this president should be allowed to make any decision to rouse any troops and of his Trumpites what's next? What happens today? Who knows? But what we do know, that he must be contained.
Both Democratic and Republican lawmakers have called for President Donald Trump's impeachment over his supporters' assault on the Capitol this Wednesday. Lawmaker Ilhan Omar tweeted that Trump should be impeached by the House of Representatives and removed from office by the US Senate. According to several Democrats, the incitement of a far-right rebellion from the White House is unprecedented. Meanwhile, Republicans also raised their voices to demand an early end to the Trump administration. Vermont Governor Phil Scott stressed enough is enough. Our democracy and principles are at risk due to the president's self-interest and ego. On February 5, 2020, Trump became the third president to face impeachment in the Senate after the trial held by the House of Representatives. However, he was acquitted. On Wednesday, the possibility of a second impeachment emerged in the face of the taking of the Capitol by a violent mob encouraged by Trump. According to the 25th Amendment to the US Constitution, the Vice President can remove the President from the White House if it is determined that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, on Thursday criticised the federal Capitol Police for their response to the riots at the Capitol on Wednesday. The mayor said she believes federal law enforcement responded more forcefully to Black Lives Matter civil rights protests in the city last summer than they did to violence inside and around the perimeter of the Capitol. She called for an investigation into that apparent disparity. Officials said 68 people were arrested in connection with efforts to quell the mob who breached the Capitol, most as a result of breaking the curfew issued by the mayor from Wednesday evening. All but one were from out of town, according to Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Conti.
Know that the current president must be held accountable for this
And the mayor of Washington, D.C. stated that the events of Wednesday were textbook terrorism and stressed that President Donald Trump must be held accountable for this unprecedented attack on U.S. democracy.
President must be held accountable for this unprecedented attack on our democracy. What happened yesterday is what he wanted to happen, and we must not underestimate the damage he can do to our nation and our democracy over the next 2 weeks. And it's not just the president who must be held accountable, so too must the domestic terrorists who stormed the Capitol and threatened members of Congress. What happened yesterday is textbook terrorism.